Welcome to the Hey Docs podcast with your host, Jill Allen. I am so excited to have Janelle Baum as my guest today. As a certified clown with a BA degree in theater from the State University of Buffalo and over 6 years of experience working in orthodontics, Janelle is a firm believer in smiles. Her relationship building superpowers are evident with every new patient experience as a treatment coordinator at Askler Orthodontics in Buffalo, New York. Her upbeat, infectious personality, combined with her outstanding office management and clinical skills, makes every office visit a memorable one and an indispensable talent in today's competitive orthodontic market. Janelle's unique ability to combine professionalism with a healthy dose of witty humor makes every encounter with her easy and fun. As an active TC in the ortho industry, she is poised to empower ortho offices everywhere to exceed patient expectations, grow their businesses, and makes everyone smile. She currently serves as a KOL for Lightforce Orthodontics. She has also been featured on Multi-Peak Marketing Podcast, Straight Talk Podcast, and many webinars with Tops Ortho, OrthoFi, and Lightforce Orthodontics. And with 14,000 followers on TikTok, it is clear her influence transcends the realm of orthodontics. Please join me in welcoming Janelle Baum. Janelle, I am so excited to have you on the podcast today. I have to admit, I'm a bit starstruck.
Likewise.
You've done some pretty incredible things on social media, especially on your TikTok. I mean, over 14,000 followers, super exciting. And so what I want to do today is I want to dive into your story, because one of the reasons I really wanted to have you on the podcast is I just don't feel like we see a lot of influencers in our industry. Yes, we've got a couple docs out there that are doing it, which is great. But to see somebody that is in an office and, primarily your job is, as a treatment coordinator, but yet you're doing this really incredible thing on your own. And so I want to do this episode and just really talk about, especially TikTok, and really hoping that you can maybe light a fire in somebody that's been, kind of on the edge of, should I do something like this or not? I'm really putting myself out there. What does that look like? So what I would like you to do is first start off by just kind of giving us a little bit of background. If somebody doesn't know, which would be crazy to me, they've been under a rock and they don't know who Janelle Baum is. Can you tell us a little bit of your history, how you decided to really get in and make a name for yourself as an influencer on TikTok?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first and foremost, thank you again for having me here. I love talking about myself. I love being in front of the camera. That's one thing about me. And you can ask my friends and family. They're going to be like, yep, this is all Janelle. So thank you. I thrive in this environment. I'm in my glory. So a little bit about my history. I mean, I have a degree in theater. It's a Bachelor of Arts degree in theater. And when you hear that, you think, oh, she was probably an actor. No, absolutely not. I worked as a prop master, which is crazy. And I was never involved in theater in high school. I fell into it. So, and then I just have been working in the orthodontic industry for about 7 years now. And I'm so intrigued by how it works, but most importantly, how you're getting all of this information out to patients. And that's where I love social media. I can have fun with it and educate the audience, who are mostly children watching our social media pages and things like that. And then TikTok came about. And before I was on TikTok, I have a 12 and 11-year-old, and they were all over TikTok. And I would watch how they would film these 15-second little clips and then spend hours editing them. And they were good at it. Back then, they were like 10. This is during the time of COVID. And so I'm like, well, give me a whirl. So I downloaded the app, went down the rabbit hole of watching all of these funny TikToks. And I'm like, well, this is a perfect platform for me. I can be my funny self on here and in front of the camera. So honest to God, my 10-year-old daughter, back then she was 10, I paid her to film me, and I did a TikTok And then I had to pay her to edit it. Okay. It was like, and every day I was coming up with more and more ideas. And my comfort zone on what my niche was, okay, we're closed at Askler Ortho. We're still seeing new patients virtually, but how else can I get their attention? So I started advertising and doing TikToks that had to relate to social media or to orthodontic vendors like Tops Ortho and Rhinogram and Straight Consulting, all sorts of stuff. So that's what I did with Askler. But then at home, I was just doing funny little skits. And my husband's like, Janelle, we're breaking the bank. You have been paying Jackson way too much money to do these TikToks and edit them, learn it yourself. And honest to God, to this day, I will do some TikToks and I'll edit them. And someone will ask me, well, how did you edit that? How did you do that? And I have no idea. I'm not a professional when it comes to that. I just do it and it looks good. And I'm like, okay, send. And they've gone viral.
that is wonderful. And as you were learning, and I think it's great that you were like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do what it takes. I'm going to Google, YouTube, whatever it is to be able to figure it out. And the cool thing is it worked. And I think that's a really neat thing for people to hear is you don't have to start knowing everything in order to start.
Right.
And so let's talk just a little bit about that. So you've had, as you were making your way, just to give some people some hope, I'm sure you probably didn't start right off the bat with over 14,000 followers.
I didn't. No. And okay, sorry. I stepped over you. What were you going to say?
No, I was just going to say, tell me about that journey, because what kept you going? You put something out and, you probably had, the 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 likes from all the family members, right?
Yep.
And then, maybe somebody down the street liked it or whatnot. So what kept you going to keep saying, hey, maybe there was a passion there just because I like doing this, but tell me a little bit about that got you to the following that you're at now. And I'm sure it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow, but let's talk a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I think like my niche was creating parodies, and I just loved making jokes out of like a bad situation, but bringing light to it. And so I didn't want to do parodies of COVID. So I would do parodies of like toilet paper, I was going to say TP, but, and I started doing these things and creating like little commercials or infomercials and stuff like that. And that's what I love watching and doing. So I was just creating that stuff. And when people would message me on Facebook and my videos would go viral, and even friends or family or just strangers telling me like, you are bringing light in such a dark area right now. Thank you. These TikToks is what's helping us all get through all of this. And I think that was my drive. And at the same time, I wouldn't go to bed at night because I was just thinking of more ideas to come up with. And that's something I still struggle with today is like, oh my God, I can't wait till tomorrow. I got to get up. I got to shower. I got to do this little ad and all this stuff like that. I just absolutely love and eat up.
I love that. And tell me a little bit about, because on TikTok, and I've heard, Ben Winters and some other people talk about this, there's kind of these channels that you can fit into on TikTok, right? And because you like doing parodies, somebody else may be like, well, I'm more of an educator, and there is room for that on, and so if you were talking to our audience, and again, talking to that person that's saying, can I do it? Should I do it? How would you advise them to find their lane? Let's just say.
Yeah. Good question. It's hard to act like someone else. So don't act like somebody else you idolize. I find even with my own personal TikTok, I just try to do things that are relatable. That's my comfort zone. If it wasn't relatable to me, I'd have a really hard time portraying that in that parody. Where at Askler Ortho, I try to turn humor into something something relatable into humor. So for example, when kids aren't wearing their elastic ties, you better believe I'm like, Dr. Ab, get in the room. We got to do a TikTok about, or a parody about kids not wearing their elastic ties. And that's what grabs our audience's attention. Because the parents are seeing it and get it and understand it, but so are the kids. It's on their platform of TikTok. So they're watching it, and then they're seeing like, oh, this is why I have to wear elastic ties. Because you're also giving in a little bit of educational in there too. So I would just say, be yourself. I mean, I don't want to keep saying that because everyone says that and that sounds cliche, but I certainly couldn't act like someone I'm not. And when I do, those are the ones that I'm like, okay, this is taking me 2 hours to edit. It's not me. And that's why.
Yep. So what I'm hearing is, like you said, be yourself, but you really got to follow what's right for you. So if you're going to step into this space, step into something that you're already comfortable with. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable, but step into something that's relatable to you.
Absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about content.
Yeah.
How do you, and I know, like you say, you go to bed and your brain is just running, but how do you figure out that content? And I'm also going to wonder, you're watching a lot of content to determine what your content will be. So do you have ways or tricks that you think, oh, that could be something trending, or that's on the cusp of maybe that could be something that goes viral, and so I should jump on that? Do you have any tips or tricks on what you do there?
Yeah, to be honest, I feel like I work best under pressure. Some of my greatest ideas come seconds before I have to go onto a podcast, and I'm doing like bloopers behind the scenes. Like a blooper cannot be planned. You can't fake a blooper, Same thing with anything work related and coming up with the content. A lot of times what inspires me to come up with this content is I have a whole room in my basement here. I call it the TikTok room. It's these shelves with all my wigs and hats and funny props. I got that all from when I went to college and was working in theater. So I collect that kind of stuff. And that's the stuff that inspires me. So sometimes if I have a big ear, I'm like, okay, what can I do with this ear? And my content is surrounded that, where you got to then tie it into orthodontics or anything related to my personal TikTok. So that's where my inspiration, my ideas come from. I don't have a filter. So you will hear people say like, where does she come up with this stuff? And I don't have an answer for that. It just comes out.
Yeah. What a talent, because I think for a lot of us, it's not there. And, like I always say, I'm not super witty. It just doesn't come to me naturally. Yeah. So when I do get like the genius little bits of wittiness, I'm like, oh, good for me. You're
like, okay, I really know, run with it.
Yeah. So that's great. So what do you think is or a secret ingredient to anything going viral? And I know that there isn't like this, exact plan, or, you do this, and this, and it's guaranteed to go viral. But what have you seen with the videos that you've had that have went viral? What have you seen as like, oh, I can see that there was some consistency with this or that?
Yeah, I think it's the TikToks that are relatable to either moms or business owners or just people in general. Those are the ones. Like I did a TikTok and the parody of like what it's like hiring someone now opposed to what it was like hiring someone 10 years.
I love that one. I love that one, by the way.
Yeah. And it was relatable to me because we had recently moved into this home maybe 4 years ago, and just seeing the difference to what it was like buying this house and all the bids on our old house. I mean, it's just things that you're just like, you're blown away about. So I try to, again, make fun of a dark situation and, make it fun and colorful. And then people can relate to that. So those are the ones that go viral. And I think just like the parody on commercials and things like that. So I would say
that's great. So is there a rhythm to how often you need to be posting? So again, you're that newbie out there and you're like, okay, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to give it my all. Number one, how long do you think giving it your all should be? But also number two, if you're really going to make a run at this, should it be once a month? Should it be, every 3 weeks? Should it be once a week? Should it be 5 times a day? Like when we've heard a lot of people out there in the industry, I can think of some of them that, would be like blow things up 11 times a day, with stuff. What do you think?
So I go off of my I just go off of what works for me, to be honest. So this isn't like a professional answer that I want everyone to do. It's off of me. So when I see either a company or a person posting like 10 videos in a day, and I've checked, say, my cell phone 10 times a day, sometimes I do, and I'm like, oh, it's her again or that company again, I'm like annoyed of them. And I don't want anyone to be annoyed of me. So think of that. So for me, I go off of, I don't want to post all day. Sometimes we've got great content at Ask for Orthodontics and we're posting TikToks all day. And it's like, yeah, today was a good day. My personal page, I'm not like that. I actually haven't posted on my personal page in a while, but my son, who's 11, he's like a little comedian like me. So So every day we come home and he's like, can we do a TikTok today? And he only wants to do the funny ones that he can like say a swear word in. So that's where I'm exploring right now. I don't want to turn my whole thing into like me and my son TikTok, but it's what we got right now. So I have to get back on the TikTok wagon, and I do more of it at work than I do on my personal page, but I got to start to brainstorm. I mean, once I do one, then I get hungry to do more. I used to read things like post at 9 a.m. and then 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. and then at 7 p.m. I don't know how consistent. I've never seen a trend for myself. I think of myself of when I'm sitting up in the morning drinking coffee, that's when I'm looking at social media. And then my lunch break at work, I'm looking at social media. And then when it's like bring it down time at home, I'm looking at my social media. So I would say those are kind of like the prime times, but think about it for your own and how when you look at social media and it works for you that way.
Yeah. I love that. And you said something that I think is really key that I want people to just pick up on is sometimes we start in one direction. And I know this has been the word of the year, the last year, we pivot, right? We change what we're doing just a little bit. And I love that, you said, we'll see, I'm doing something with my son right now. Maybe that'll be the direction you go. Maybe it won't. But I do feel like there is a component in anything we're doing socially where we have to be super fluid. Is what I see is if you get what I do, I always do the same thing, the same way, it's old before it's old. It's the words right out of my mouth. I agree. And you'll never seem like that in any aspect of my life. So yeah. So I love that. And I think that's just good for people to hear too, is, if something isn't working and you've got a passion for this, change. It's okay. Pivot and change. Find your lane, find what's gonna, really work well for you, and dive into it and go as far as you can, and keep changing if you need to, because that's also what's going to, I would think, keep that fresh content out there that we're all looking for.
100%. And I've had some people tell me like, oh, I've got great creative ideas, but I would never get in front of the camera. And I don't know who I can give these ideas to. If you're nervous in front of the camera, I mean, I could teach a whole webinar on how to get comfortable in front of the camera. So I won't take up too many.
Well, maybe we'll have to do one of those sometime.
Absolutely. I think the best advice is maybe to work in disguise. People feel the most comfortable when in disguise. So either put on a fun pair of glasses or sunglasses or a wig or a hat, and that content that you're thinking of that you really want to, exploit out there, and you want it to be you or not be you, just try to go in disguise. And then maybe, don't overload yourself with filters and things like that. That's just not the real deal, but try that. And maybe you can become TikTok famous.
Yeah. And really, truly, what great advice. And I would even add to that and say, get on your Zoom account and turn on your camera and just kind of sit under the pressure of seeing yourself. I know even for me, I talk on Zoom all day long, and I get tired of looking at myself, but, and talking, but it does help me, to kind of hone my craft, or to be like, oh, you say, I love it 100 bajillion times. Why don't we try a different word? You know what I mean? So sometimes just sitting under the pressure of getting comfortable with yourself, getting comfortable with your voice, then I would think would then help you be comfortable in the other things.
And change your perspective on it. I mean, the people that come to me that tell me they're uncomfortable in filming these TikToks or these things that they have great ideas for in front of the camera, these are the same people that I see on their social media feed of them doing a selfie with a Starbucks cup. And I'm like, I feel uncomfortable doing that. I'm like, Starbucks brings me no value other than the coffee. I'm not advertising for them. I feel more uncomfortable. Like, what's the point? Where's the value in that? They love it. They feel comfortable. So why don't you turn? You're basically doing what you want to do, but just in a different perspective. So change your perspective.
I love that. So if you were to give some people some tips as we kind of, finish this up here, and I were to say, okay, Janelle, I want 3, I won't go 5, 3 pearls that if you were to give somebody 3 pearls on if they want to get into the social space. And I know you aren't just on TikTok, because I see you on Instagram, and I've seen, it pushed over into Facebook, but we'll just say social space. If somebody wants to get in and and really kind of pursue a dream or an urge, or what would be 3 pearls you would give somebody?
Ooh, I would say create yourself a storyboard and just lay out a visual of all these ideas that you want to do and really map out like what would bring the most value to the audience. Buy yourself some fun props because it's motivating and it's fun and it's exciting and it creates good energy. However, you can use them, whether it's in the dental or orthodontic world or business world, things like that. Buy yourself some fun props because then you just got something other than yourself that's in front of the camera, which would get you out of your comfort zone. And the third pearl is just keep practicing, have fun, watch your kids do this stuff. If you do have kids, or if you're a doctor and you don't have kids and you see your patients doing this, ask advice. Yes. Ask. Learn from others is my best advice.
That's great. Janelle, this has been awesome. Just getting a little insight, into this and just knowing that this is like just good, real advice. And I think that there are a lot of people that I think you are going to have inspired to be like, okay, she can do it. I can do it. And I love the idea of props. Get your props, put on your glasses, put on your wig, do whatever. So if somebody wants to follow you, they want to see what you're doing, they want to get inspired by you, where are they going to find you in the event again that they've been under a rock and they just don't know where to find you?
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you asking this. So my TikTok handle is Noodle Baum. So that's NOODLE Baum, as in B as in boy, AUM as in Mary, 1226. So follow me on TikTok. And my Instagram page is Noodle Baum. Same way, one word, Noodle Baum. And then Janelle Baum is my Facebook page. And I do have a question for these viewers. If there's any parodies that you want me to do or any sort of funny skits or funny little commercials, please send them my way because I love knowing what my audience wants to hear and listen to. And I'd appreciate that.
I love that. All right, audience, you heard that. That's the challenge. Tell Janelle what you want to see, and we'll make sure that she lets people know that this is for you.
Sure will.
Again, Janelle, thank you so much for being a part of Hey Docs. And I just love the information that you were able to give the audience. I am sure that you've inspired a new newbie out there that is going to dip their toe into this water. So again, thank you so much. And I do want to just run you through a little speed round because you're not going to get through a speed round.
I've been watching your podcast, so I'm like, oh my gosh, how would I answer that? And now it's my turn. Okay, let's hear it.
All right, so we're going to go with the first. My first question is Star Wars or Star Trek?
You know what's funny? When my husband or family watch this, they're going to be like, she was just asked that because it's neither. I'm not into like,
that's all right.
I don't know. Are they sci-fi? I'm not into like Disney princesses and Disney shows. I'm really, really bad in like retaining movie actors and shows and stuff like that. So I could have lied, guys, and just said one, but I'm being honest, and that honesty is the best policy.
All right. Hey, I'm okay with that. So that's good. All right. Let's do another one. Socks with sandals? Yes or no?
Not at my age, but for all middle schoolers, yes. It's the trend.
Okay. Here's another one. Coffee or tea?
100% coffee. Sometimes I go to bed early just to have my coffee come sooner in the morning.
I love it. All right. And our last one, big, hairy, audacious goal. If you got one, doesn't have to be for 2022, but if you had a big, hairy, audacious goal, what is it?
To be on Saturday Night Live. I've been tagging them on my TikToks and I haven't gotten any pull from anyone. So if you know anyone over in Saturday Night Live land,
all right, Saturday Night Live, be a superstar.
Yeah. So funny.
Well, thank you so much. Again, this was just wonderful. And again, thanks for being on Hey Docs.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you. You're doing amazing things for the ortho community, Jill. So stay awesome.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye, everyone.